Hashtag born ready.
Fair enough. That's an interesting intro. We've got to get better at that if we want this to be a thing.
What's that?
Our fucking intros, we just, throw straight into it. Pretty much.
Intro, intro.
Do you want to do an intro?
Anything clever that rhymes with intro.
Yeah, this is the Technically Wrong podcast. I'm an arsehole, but Lucas is a bigger arsehole, and Jamie is a nice, decent human being who knows a hell of a lot more than us about most things. He's about the only person who can make me feel stupid.
I think there's a lot of people that could probably make you feel stupid.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you get fucking Wendell from Tech Syndicate or Wozniak or, any of the proper low-level engineers for a big company or something, then yeah. But I mean, out of the people I'm going to meet...
I was thinking more random 12-year-old kid off the street could probably make you feel stupid in some form.
I mean, if a 12-year-old kid off the street is talking about quantum physics, then sure. But I mean, in terms of technology, I highly doubt it.
Hey man, all them 12-year-olds talk about that shit, all of them.
Well, hell yeah! I mean, in a couple of years, they'll probably be telling you how their iPad is actually made.
Hey, a teenager was able to write a bit of code which would disable ransomware that's been floating around the internet recently.
Yeah, I mean, a hell of a lot of 12-year-olds come out with I think it was a 10-year-old or something, a very young girl who came up with the windable torch, like just something that should have existed for many, many years.
Technically, wind-up stuff's been around for ages. I just think nobody thought of a wind-up torch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
But I've seen like wind-up radios and things, and.
But yeah, it's just you look from a different perspective, from a fresh, point of access, and then you come up with that. Like a little kid made a divider for his dad's pizza, and now they're in everything because his dad was like, "Hey, I've got a pizza divider," and now it's used in all fast food pizza places.
Main reason for that is kids have a better imagination than most adults. They can think more outside of the box than an adult tries to think outside the box.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much hammered into a way of, don't think, just do. Whereas kids are hammered into a way of just think at a young age, which is, sometimes I wish I could go back and just look as a kid, because as a kid, everything is new, everything is exciting. You breathe the world. It's fantastical. And then when you get older, you realize, the world's pretty shit. But, I mean, I'm getting some fucking childlike joy over Overwatch, which is, I'm going to get into the new beta soon, which will be fan-fucking-tastic. I can't wait for that.
I tried Overwatch, and it bored me.
Fair enough.
Like, I tried it for about an hour or two, and it's like, it's just not something I'd probably want to play.
Well, I used to play a lot of Team Fortress 2 and League of Legends, and of course nowadays Counter-Strike. So I know it definitely looks like something I'd be interested in. And I mean, it fucking better be. I spent enough money on pre-ordering it, which I don't really like pre-ordering, but my hype levels just peaked, and I was, slightly tired and a little too drunk to not pre-order it.
Yeah, I only pre-order a couple of things that I'm guaranteed to buy.
Like Fallout 4. Yes, I pre-ordered the shit out of Fallout 4.
You're all bad.
I can't remember, did I actually pre-order it, or did I literally buy it the night it was coming out, because that's when I got my money through? I think I did.
Fair enough. Well, I
think I pre-ordered it like an hour beforehand.
Nice. Well, the thing is, there wasn't any pre-order bonuses for Fallout 4 whatsoever, unless you wanted a Pip-Boy, which I bought like after the fact for about half the price of the actual pre-order originally.
Yeah, I need to see about getting the actual Pip-Boy, because I want it. Really
yeah.
want it.
They've gone back up in price. At the beginning, the pre-order Pip-Boy was really expensive as just a pre-order bonus. Then it went skyrocketing down in price because everybody fucking bought it, sold out in seconds, and nobody wanted it after the fact. So I got mine for like like 60, I think, and then it was 75 with shipping and stuff on top of my pile of dead computers, and is just the centerpiece. Like, I walk in, I look at it, I feel happy. It's such a worthwhile purchase.
That's the thing. I'd struggle to like display it anywhere because at this point I struggle to like find somewhere to display my Alduin World Eater statue. My Molag Bal statue currently sits on top of my computer case, and amongst a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of pre-order bonuses. I just think they're a bit crap. But the fact that I can wear this, I can stick my phone in it, and I have done that to death. Like, it's probably worth nothing. The inside is scratched up because all the Velcro, and just it's pretty beat up, really. But it's so much fun. Like, it's not exactly super useful in the game, especially if you have a keyboard in the kind of position that I play in, whereas it kind of smashes against the wrist rest on my keyboard. So it's not exactly the most practical thing to wear while
That's why
playing
you
the
don't
game.
wear it while you're actually playing the game.
But it's so much fun too. It was so much fun. I played an entire like 20-hour run as a sniper class while wearing that thing. It was fantastic. It was very enjoyable. But that's the thing. I don't like statues or anything because they just kind of you put them somewhere or whatever. But that's something that is on display, is a big thing. And if I was to ever do something like a cosplay, I just get a blue jumpsuit, do it properly with the leather on the arms and stuff like that, so it actually looks relatively accurate. I've seen a lot of cosplays where they just have a blue jumpsuit with some fucking yellow on it, and I think that's just a bit lazy. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a pretty easy cosplay, and you can modify it and just go to the next year anyway, and you've got a fantastic prop. Because I've not seen anybody make one of those things even
I have.
within a mile of being that accurate.
There's actually a tutorial on making one on the Army YouTube channel.
It looks like crap compared to the real thing. It's boxy and big and bulky. It doesn't look a thing like the actual thing does. That thing's got so much detail.
The previous like pit boys,
yes,
to the one that they've had in Fallout 4, they're all kind of bulky and kind of squarish.
Yeah, but he was basing it off of the one from Fallout 4. I understand for the price. For the price, he made a fantastic prop. Okay, because that's like, like a third or even a quarter of the amount I paid for that piece of plastic. But still, it just doesn't look nearly as good as that. I mean, I'm obviously biased because I own it, but still.
As we're on it, in Fallout 4 news, Bethesda have officially released the creative kit for it, and mods are ever even more flying than they were previously, as well as the announcement that in a couple of weeks, mods will be available for console. So, console peasants get to enjoy what us PC gamers have for years.
Nobody plays consoles.
Yeah, no.
Well, not the current ones anyway, because they're basically just PCs and have no games. But yeah, no, what kind of mods do they actually get, though?
Basically, they are making it so any like of the high profile or most like very highly downloaded mods off of like the Nexus or the Steam store or the Steam Workshop will be ported over to the console, basically.
Fair enough.
I think it's any that have used done through the creation kit. I think other ones might be a bit harder for them to port over properly. But so far, they do seem to have quite a range of the ones which are available. I'll just try and find the list again.
I don't know how they'd run, though, because a lot of those have quite a considerable performance hit on PC, let alone consoles.
Actually, most mods don't actually take that much up, and a lot of the texture pack mods redo all of the performance issues.
Yeah, but I mean, like the entity mods, so you don't limit the entity limit and stuff, so you can actually decorate. Are there any mods like that?
I think so. I know there's quite an early mod which removes the settlement limit on how many items you could put in it.
That's the one.
So.
And that completely fucking destroys the game if you actually decorate each of the houses. But I mean, that's a bit excessive. But I mean, even building a nice looking base with assets and stuff like that, building from assets, building a base around by de-restricting, because the building was a nice idea but kind of poorly executed. Like I kept trying to build on top of the red rocket, and that was
Oh, I've done that.
impossible.
What's that?
It was so I managed it after a lot of just kind of placing down the original foundations, then finding I couldn't go far enough, then placing those foundations a little higher, then finding I couldn't go far enough, then placing them down to the
Do you know what
left or
you
to the right.
need at that point? Is the intersection mod, which allows you to
That's
place
the
ever
one.
so slightly into
Yeah.
what would normally be red.
Yeah, but do they have that on console?
It might do if they ever have the thing, but stuff like that might take a while to get on there. But I would have thought eventually they might do.
Yeah, and I guess they'd have to get a relatively polished and pretty much bug-free version of it, which is hard to do with a Bethesda game in the first place. But because I doubt they'll be getting like updates.
I would have thought so. If it does it in the same way like the Nexus does it, it should just be once an update's out, they just have to put it over onto the mod store, whatever they have for the console. So
Fair enough. That's not too bad at all, really. I mean, still playing with the controller's a bit crap, but you know, I mean, I do play a few games with a controller, but that's mostly just driving around because
I think you can use keyboard and mouse on a console now. I think most of them have allowed that capability in some form.
there's also
hopefully.
peripherals for that kind of stuff, and it has been for a
Yeah.
while. Yeah, it reminds me of that CS:GO link that you sent a while back. You sent a link of how the professional team was being distracted by the thing, and it had a professional COD tournament as a video in the thread. Like it made no mention to it. It only mentioned Counter-Strike, and it had a professional COD playing team with consoles on Xbox One. Like what?
Yeah, just that's a thing the internet does. It just. But yeah, some of the mods that are available by looks at straight away will be there's a settlement mod. I'm not sure what it's for. There's an unofficial Fallout 4 patch, as there always is for Bethesda games.
Yeah.
There's a campsite mod, so you can make a small campsite wherever you want. I believe.
That's good.
I think someone's modded ED from New Vegas into Fallout 4 by looks of it using an automatron with the creation kit.
That's really cool. ED was always one of my
crafting
go-to.
coffee, weapon crafting workbench, because a lot of mods have been playing with the weapon crafting system.
Yes.
And actually fully crafting your weapons from scratch, you can just make a weapon.
That's cool. As well as ammo crafting and stuff from Vegas I always liked doing that.
That's one thing that was added quite a bit and played with was people the ability to craft your own ammo again.
Yeah.
Portable sleeping bag, auto loops, unofficial scrap pack, so you can scrap more of the scrap stuff around settlements, so you can clean up places.
That was one of the that was I didn't install really any mods really, but that was one of the mods that I did install. Was that one? It's quite simple to install, and it bugged the crap out of me that half of the stuff littering the street you couldn't clean up.
Yeah. Like I say, I think on my normal Fallout 4 playthrough, I have 50 mods installed currently.
I had 3. I had some lighting and stuff, and I don't remember the third one, but that was one of them. And I was trying to install the, the building collision thing, but it just
what do you used to do
work.
to install your mods?
I don't fucking remember. It was a while ago, and I did it right at the very end and didn't really play the game much while using it.
I was going to say, because I just used the Nexus mod manager to do Fallout 4 mod installations, because it's not really a separate Fallout 4 mod installer currently.
It might well have been that, because I mean, I used to do that on Vegas and Fallout 3, but I don't remember. It was towards the end where I was pretty much wrapping up my last playthrough with the Pip-Boy. And that was the Railroad playthrough because, frankly, the Railroad are a bit shit in the game. All of the other
Technically,
factions
everyone's
are really
assholes
cool.
except the Minutemen, and even then, Preston Garvey's just a dick.
He's a bit of a twat at the beginning, but he's lovable at the end.
He's not lovable after like 100 hours.
Oh, Paladin Dance. He was my best friend.
That's why there's plenty of videos of people trying to kill him in imaginative ways.
You talking about Dance or?
No,
'Cause,
Preston
yeah,
Garvey.
didn't think so because Dance was my best friend. I collected power armor. He followed me everywhere. He was the best. He was my favorite.
Dance I found kind of boring.
I just liked him because his power armor never broke. Whenever I give it to Piper or Kate or someone like that, immediately dead. It's just like, wow, you really can't take damage. When I'm wearing power armor, it lasts like a couple missions. When they wear power armor, it's gone within the first few bullets.
Yep. But this is why now with the Automatron DLC, I just use robots because they kill everything before I even get a chance to shoot it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get it. But again, I've been waiting a while for a few more DLCs, and especially the creation kit to come out so I can mod the crap out of the game and then jump back in and play through some of those missions and mod it and stuff. But anyway, I think that's enough of Fallout 4 for now.
Yeah. New topic, Jamie?
Nothing like a 20-minute rant on Fallout 4.
Yeah, for the
That's
first
what
fucking
Fallout 4
episode.
does to you.
It is. It does absorb your life, yeah. But any Bethesda game that comes out, it's just like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for the next 100 or so hours, if not considerably longer.
So, what did you? You said you wanted to talk about something?
Wow, well done. Can't think of anything.
No,
Which
you
one
said
of us?
something. I'm waiting in anticipation here. Like this, before we started, you were like, I specifically have been saving this rant, and
Oh, it was
about Polaris.
It was
I
about
kind of want
Polaris.
to know what we're on with here now.
Fair enough. All right then. You could have just said Polaris. You forgot about that part of it. But of course,
good.
Pascal and Polaris are projected to come out sometime in June or around that time, which is pretty much every generation when everybody says it is, and then they come out significantly later or sometimes earlier. But so Pascal's interesting. It's NVIDIA. I don't care. It seems to be pretty powerful. Seems to be decently power efficient, running on the same kind of architecture as the 900 series. Hopefully, they don't fuck up and remove some of the RAM like they did on the previous generation. It's nice to see all that crap. But nonetheless, there's been some interesting news come out, rumors and press releases and stuff by AMD, and they seem to say that AMD's Polaris 10 and 11 are not going to be high-end graphics chips or graphics cards. They're mostly going to be focused on netbooks and laptops and stuff like that. Now
They're going for cheap budget graphics cards again. They already try this and people still don't buy them.
Now, what I was going to say is the fact of the matter is, if they are as powerful as the last generation, but they have the kind of the power efficiency that they're quoting now, I find that fine because Vega 10 is then going to come out, and people before this news came out, people were saying that the Vega 10 would be something like a Fury X type graphics card, and that Polaris 10 and 11 would be slightly faster or even a lot faster, depending on maybe the Fury or the 290 or the 390 rather, like graphics cards. Now, what I think is going to happen is they're going to release graphics cards. I mean, they kind of have to, but they're going to be cheaper. They're going to be exceedingly cheap because if they release, they said that the cheapest VR ready graphics card. So I'm hoping that they're not spinning this and saying that you could play VR in 30 FPS like a lot of companies. were doing like a year ago. I hope what they mean is that it will be able to run most of the VR games out there at 60 FPS, which will be fantastic. But at a price point of $350, less than $350 is one of the cheapest VR ready. So that means that, so what I take from that, at least, is that it's got to be more powerful than a 390X. I mean, that's pseudo VR ready, I mean, just about. But if it's more powerful than even a 390X, or just as powerful, and it's like at a $350 or less price point or something, that's great. So they don't really have to make anything super ludicrously powerful, especially if it's super power efficient, which will hopefully mean that laptops and netbooks and stuff like that in general will be VR ready. And that is a step in the right direction. And hopefully what that means also is that Vega 10 GPUs, say they make a Fury and a Fury X again, will be slightly cheaper, but ludicrously powerful. And I have no problem with that. But everybody's like, oh, AMD are fucking up, they're doing stupid stuff. And it's just like, no, if you think about it, that's a step in the right direction. I like that. I think that's a good move.
Yeah, and you look at kind of more modern trends, like gaming laptops or laptops with powerful GPUs are becoming more popular, and have been for a while. So it's interesting to see that they would try and cater for that. Because I mean, look at all the gaming laptops or high spec laptops right now. Every one of them is running NVIDIA. Like AMD don't have a chance in that market right now.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, them bringing something to kind of this. I say this market. I'm sat here using a laptop with an
Yeah.
NVIDIA GPU in it. But bringing something to this market. I mean, the key thing for them is they've done well in laptop graphics cards, graphics chips in the past.
And also being supported by companies like, say, Apple, and of course Sony and Microsoft. And that's what I like, is that also this may mean that Steam machines are viable at a point. Because if they start adopting the more powerful Polaris GPUs and they're VR ready, then a Steam machine becomes slightly more viable, because it's pretty outdated tech, let's be honest. When the Steam machines released, they were slow and they were expensive. But if you can put a Polaris GPU in it and you can release it in the next year or so, then I think a Steam machine's back on the market, because then you have a tiny little box to play your games in the living room and also do VR, because where do you usually have the most room? In the living room. So VR is probably better suited for a living room environment.
Just to point out, anywhere in the States, because they all have giant living rooms, or just rooms in general.
Exactly. So I think
this was proven with the Xbox and its stupid Kinect.
Oh yeah, but I think that is a step. It really is a step in the right direction, and I think if they can compete with the laptops and stuff like that, especially, I mean, yeah, historically, like 2012, if you bought a cheaper laptop, you usually got like an APU or something even, and you'd get really good graphics and and a decent CPU, and the more expensive ones were a really good CPU and a dedicated graphics card. But in the lower end, it was always the APUs, and I think they're good enough anyway, frankly, for a laptop especially. And they also ate up a lot less power. But because they've been focusing on stuff like Fury X and making the graphics cards to try and compete with Nvidia at the moment, they've kind of left that behind. As well as, let's be honest, their CPUs haven't been updated in a very long time.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Like, you're looking at the APUs, and the CPUs just aren't good enough, and they were just too hot. Like, I've had a couple of laptops with those, kind of higher end APUs in, and they just get so hot. Like, it just melts your desk. Like, it is completely unreasonable. I think if they can crack the whole heat thing, like, they'll go places, I think.
Absolutely, as well as the power efficiency in general. So I'm really excited for Polaris, and also Zen in general, because you pair a Polaris GPU with the Zen architecture, hopefully that will be a good thing. Zen will be a success, or even just, relatively compete with Intel. But then again, Zen is projected to have maybe also like 5% less performance than Skylake, but the amount of cores that they're saying, or people are rumoring them to have, and proper cores this time with actual proper hyperthreading and everything, then it's gonna, no matter what, from the predictions and stuff, it's gonna blow Intel out of the water in terms of performance.
Yeah, and I'm definitely curious to see how that goes. I think if the core room, if the whole core room amount of cores is even remotely to be believed, I think even if it doesn't go places in the consumer market, I think it's especially with the server side having a larger die size and larger chip size than than its Intel counterpart. I think the amount of cores they could shove on there from a virtual machine perspective, that's going to go so many places.
Absolutely. And even if they do perform a lot less, just the sheer amount of cores that you could put on the server side, and then dual socket motherboards and everything, you're gonna get like just ridiculous.
Oh yeah, AMD support quad sockets.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Well, 128 core machine would be pretty nice.
You say that, I actually almost bought a little while ago. I actually was debating buying a 128 core AMD machine with 512 gigs of DDR2. It was like an older machine, but I thought it'd be fun just to mess around and put some virtual machines on.
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe I'll do some stuff with it at some point.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
like that at some point.
Yeah, which basically means probably never with you anyway. But I mean,
that's basically the reasoning behind any processor with more than 4 cores on it. Eventually, I'll use them. That's the reasoning behind having more than 4 cores.
No, what you do is you just go ahead and install MAAS under Ubuntu, and then just like deploy like a bajillion virtual machines all at once.
Yeah, and then you could just run so many tasks off of each different thing, and you wouldn't have to worry. Like you could run it under a base, even a low level, like just Linux distro or something, run a shit ton of virtual machines and do all of the tasks that you need to do with various different operating systems, server sides, and everything, which is fantastic.
Speaking of virtualization,
hey, nice segue.
Yeah, we're going to take the segue. That's what we're going to do, and then we're going to segue into another topic, which you'll probably get immediately. But I'm going to be doing some stuff with. I'm going to be doing various stuff with various Linux-based or Unix-based distributions. But one of them that I want to do sooner rather than later is Mac. And so I'm currently in the process of acquiring an El Capitan install file. I'm going to virtualize it, and then I'm going to buy the OS X server, and I'm going to virtualize that, and I'm going to play around with it a little bit. But
how are you going to acquire this El Capitan? Do you need a Mac client for that?
I have to acquire a Mac.
Well, hopefully you can get a Mac without giving any money to Apple.
Yeah, I have
a second-hand one or refurbished one.
No, I know someone, so we're good.
You know a guy.
I know a guy. That's all I'm saying. I know. You could totally hook me up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of curious because Mac server is one of those things that's never. I mean, I follow a lot more computing stuff in the enterprise space than I do in the consumer space. I'm generally not quite up to date in the consumer space market and what's going on there, but I think Mac server is one of those that's never really kind of done anything in the enterprise space, and they're looking to do more cloud stuff now, and so potentially it could take a bigger role. Potentially it will, potentially it won't. I don't know, but I've never really used it as a server, and so I'm kind of curious to know how that's going to go.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I really genuinely know nothing about, and I don't really care to, but at the same time is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those things where I'm probably going to use it for 2 weeks or a month, and then be like, oh, this is why people don't use
that. Yeah, pretty much. But I don't like
Apple.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Just
Apple. The business practices are ridiculous. And I just don't like what they're doing, and people just eat it up anyway. Have you seen that unbelievably ugly battery case for the iPhone 6? It's like everything about the
Oh
the
yeah,
the iPhone 6 is like it's thin and light and aesthetics and it's beautiful. And then they bring out that case, which is the ugliest case on the market.
it
Here's the
is.
thing: Steve Jobs died. Basically, anyone that had a creative thought probably left or was ignored.
Yeah,
Have you seen this
because
battery pack, Lucas?
oh, you gotta
I
see
don't
it.
think so now.
It's
Oh,
beautiful.
it
It's
is.
beautifully ugly. It's so bad.
It is that
Do you
bad.
remember Apple is a company that when they outed Steve Jobs from running the company and he went to found Pixar, when he came back, he fired the entire board of executives because they were like, "Yeah, you buried my company. Now you're all fired."
Yeah, and I mean, they when he died, they probably just went fully into like, well, now we can completely fuck over the consumer, because I feel like Steve Jobs had a good idea and good motives. I feel like I don't know, obviously, and he did seem like a bit of a dickhead overall, but aren't we all? But he seemed to have like he seemed to want the consumer to enjoy their products at least. Whereas
Well, that's the
now
thing.
it just seems like
Steve
they
Jobs' vision
just want to
was
make money.
you make something that people want, and then you sell it. That's like,
Pretty much. Yeah.
which they're not doing that now. They're just making a product, attaching a high price to it, and expecting people to buy it, even
Yes.
though
And
it's
they do.
technically not as good as before.
And they do.
Yep.
They lap it up. It's ridiculous.
But I think
People do it
that's
because it's Apple.
yeah, it's just based on that old reputation. Like it's nothing more than that. It's got the Apple logo on it.
I mean, I would have been a massive Apple fanboy in the 2000s. It was still a bit expensive, but I mean the lampshade and the G5s and stuff like that, fantastic computers, beautifully designed, they worked well, and they were workstation powerhouses. But nowadays, especially with like the new MacBook, the new Mac Pro and stuff, they haven't upgraded that thing in ages. I mean, at least have like scheduled motherboard upgrades in the unit or something. I mean, you don't necessarily have to rework the entire graphical interface. I could understand running on the older graphics cards. I don't mind that as much. But at least, utilizing some of the new technologies that have come out, like with Broadwell and Skylake and stuff, I don't know, it may be pretty
Yeah, but then at
difficult and
that
pretty
point, they
expensive, but they're
only don't
selling it
need
for
to
such a
because
high
who's going to
price.
upgrade a Mac Pro?
Everybody! I mean, that's what
Yeah,
they've done in the
that
past.
yeah, when they buy a new Mac, but it's like when you've already got one, it's like, well, yeah, it's got a fancy motherboard that could use all this technology, but it's like, where are you going to find half the time the specialized equipment that goes inside of the bloody things?
No, I just mean that the fact of the matter is it hasn't been updated in many years and it's still the same price. At least make it cheaper. At least make the options that you can put in the machine cheaper, like SSD upgrades and stuff. They're still using prices from back then and not upgrading the storage whatsoever. It's exactly the same as it was back then. All of the upgrades are exactly the same and the same price. That's ludicrous.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Apple don't care because there's the thing. Yeah, people complain about the price, but then there's still enough people who will still pay that price, so that's why they don't change it.
It is a shame that we live in such a consumer market. I mean, it's a good thing and a very, very bad thing for just progress in general, really. People put too much faith into faceless corporations. When you have very few options, you tend to anyway, such as, Intel or AMD. I side with AMD because I find they have just, better business practices overall. A lot of their stuff's open source and they seem to do it for a lower price. And in a way, they are a corporation after all, so their public image does benefit them. So they probably don't give a shit about their consumer, but they act like it at least, and that's a step. That's something that I respect. At least you act like you give a shit, even if you don't. Um, Yeah, I mean, I have an Intel CPU simply because Bulldozer and Pile Driver. I mean, they're so outdated. But hopefully Zen will take off, and my next computer, even if it doesn't, even if it performs a lot less, well, like I'd say if it performs 10% less, and if it is like 20% less price, then I'll still buy it anyway. But if it's the same price and it performs less, a bit kind of like the Fury X, although I like that HBM, the people don't really understand that they released a fully new technology. They developed that for years. Of course it's going to be expensive. You
Yeah, but
know?
a lot of it comes down to, is that technology being used by anything?
Yeah, but it will be. I mean, it's going to be. Even Nvidia are predicted in Pascal and stuff to have some of their super high end, possibly their new Titan will have HBM2 on it. So, you
Yeah,
know.
but that's the thing. It's like, yeah, they brought it out first, but it's like the same thing that most games these days use nothing more than maybe 2 cores on any processor. There's a couple which require 4 cores, or can utilize 4 cores. Past that, it's like having a quad-core processor is almost pointless. Anything past that is even more pointless.
No, I'd say quad core processors are poignant. They make sense. I guess a dual core with hyperthreading is good
Like,
enough.
quad cores now are like worth it, but when like they first came out, and even then several years afterwards, barely being used by anything.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, I would say it's good for the future, but then again, by the time they're being utilized, the one you have's probably hell of out of date.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
is
jumping
the
straight into it from the start and going, oh, we've got this fancy new technology, and then bank it all on hoping people will utilize it is a terrible idea.
yeah, I still respect AMD for trying to actually change things, though. HBM is a fantastic technology, and it's going to be used in the future, if not just by AMD at the end of the day. But I mean, with HBM2 and stuff, just a lot of it as well, like 8 to 16 gigabytes of HBM2, like you could load Fallout 4 textures with a texture pack in an instant, whereas now you still see pop in and stuff like that. So
Yeah, but all games are like that because that's how technically they load it. Even if you had unlimited RAM, games would still have pop-in because people just decide we're going to be lazy, not program it right.
yeah, but that's
This
a
is
problem
why,
with technology in general. Just
but
pretty much everything.
for an example, the latest Batman Arkham game performed worse on PC than it did on console.
Yeah, that's down to the porters, but hopefully if we revolt enough against that kind of stuff. I mean, these people do have enough money to probably not give a shit for the next 10 years, but hopefully after 10 years they might figure out that that's not a good business practice.
Well, Warner Brothers figured that out, but then I think it was like 2 days when they removed it from the Steam store and all PC sales.
Yeah.
They
Well,
went, yeah, oh yeah, this is terrible, right, we take it down from all PC sales, and they spent something like a couple of months recoding the game to make it work for PC, at least a bit better, and
at
remove
least
at
a
least some
bit
of the
better.
bugs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred if they just completely took down that port and then reported it properly, because they worked on that port, that specific port, which is, I don't know,
Well, that's the thing.
bit of a weird thing to
The
do.
company that made the console version wasn't the company that ported it. It was I can't remember what company it was that ported it. It's the same one they've used for previous Arkham games, which all of the ports have been terrible for PC.
Absolutely, especially even Arkham Asylum now is difficult to play on PC.
Well, apparently someone, was it for Arkham Asylum? Was it for the latest one? Someone's actually modded it and made it work.
Well, I
Like,
mean, I
modders
would
fixed the
love,
shit.
because I played Arkham Asylum a lot on PS3. That's one of my favorite games, just period. I love that game. I like stealth games in general. I'm gonna get hate for this. Not a huge fan of Metal Gear Solid, but I do quite like.
Down a hole.
Such a bad. It's such a bad.
You said that in front of me, a person who the day for like the latest Metal Gear Solid came out, I didn't exactly disappear, but I went from
Sad.
playing Ark quite solidly
Sad.
for a week to playing Metal Gear Solid 5 straight for like 2 weeks.
Fair enough, and you can enjoy your own games. I don't. You know, I don't know. I played. I mean, I haven't really played the originals, but I played Metal Gear Solid 4 and didn't enjoy it very much. And that's probably because I didn't have much context. I've got a lot of context recently because I had a friend who was obsessed with it and would go on
I will
hours
say
and
the Metal Gear Solid games require context.
yes, and he went on
Otherwise,
for
they make
hours
no
and hours, and I
goddamn sense.
pretty much knew the entire story. But even then, like I look back with context, and I was like, I'm all right, thanks. I'm all right. Besides, I don't particularly want to give Konami very much money, if any, if that's possible.
I
They do
think
have
these
their
days no
hands in a
one wants
lot
to
of
give
things.
Konami any money after the shit
Yeah.
they pulled.
Yeah.
But luckily, Hideo Kojima has left them, and everyone now bows before him, going, "Take our money for your next game."
I'll tell you what. I do like his kind of philosophy and the way he makes his games and his new IPs in his own studio. I'll probably pick one of those up. I'll tell you that. But Metal Gear's just not for me. Anyway, yeah, I loved Arkham Asylum. That's the end of that point. Moving on.
Well, speaking of games, what PAX East was recently. Did any new games get released there? Like, I didn't follow any of the coverage, so I don't.
I don't think much gets announced at PAX East. Let's have a look.
Usually just peripherals,
Yeah.
like the Corsair Rapid Fire K70 and K65 came out. Now they've refreshed the RGB line without that horrible logo, and I might pick one of those up because I am kind of brainwashed into thinking RGB is nice simply for the color purple on everything. I need the color purple on everything because red and black's getting old real fast. And black and purple, that's much better. Or even white and purple, that's probably what I'd go for. But unfortunately, K70 is in black. Yeah, they have a weird like new keycap thing, which I don't. I understand that reds are the most popular, but I figure if you're going for Cherry MX keys in the first place, that just I don't know why you would necessarily go for like a gaming one of those. I think reds are fine, as well as some people that have tested it say it's very heavy. I think, or something like that. I think the actuation is very short, but they say it's quite a heavy key, so that's just a bit odd in general. I don't really understand what kind of point that is, especially because of the development that must have gone into that, the kind of money that they spent on developing a new keycap and all that stuff. I like Corsair. I like what they do, but they've been very slow to adopt new technologies, especially in cases. Like there's a current trend of having no 5 1/4 inch bays, which I really like. I like a solid front. I'll just plug in. I have an external CD drive, and it doesn't hinder the aesthetics of my case. I bought one of the very first cases that did that, which is the H440 from NZXT. And it's not a perfect case by any means, and especially there's some really nice ones coming out now. But I bought it pretty much just because the front is flat, and it had a power supply shroud. I thought it was a very new, fresh take on the case market at that time. Something that modders had been doing for years, but adopted by a mainstream case manufacturer. Whereas Corsair seemed to be a little behind on that kind of updating and stuff. Which is a good thing because everybody else is moving over, so Corsair cases are still in the market of the people that like the way things were back then. But I think they should at least, make a couple more cases that follow current trends because they are current trends.
Yeah, I quite like cases that kind of in between cases that have got maybe an opening front door that has where the full front panel opens to reveal like 5 1/4 inch bays inside. Because I don't tend to put CD drives in them, but if there's a case I really like by I don't remember who does it now. It's a titanium case. It's Fractal.
Yes, yeah.
But there's a titanium case I really like, and it's got like a completely brushed aluminum front, and then you open it and it reveals like 3 5.25 inch bays. While I wouldn't use 3 for a CD drive, there are like loads of options to have converter for hot swappable hard drive bays. So you can get like 4 in those 3 drives. You can get like 4 hot swappable 3.25 inch.
I do like that, as well as now, especially with USB Type C and stuff, you can get converters and things like that, or just even with the new motherboards coming out. If you buy a case with that, you have that kind of option in the future anyway. Speaking of USB Type C, looking forward to that stuff on Broadwell E and the like 10-core processor that's coming out. Unfortunately, priced at $1,500.
Right.
Fuck that. Okay. What I think I think $100 per core is fair. I think an 8-core processor for $800 is fair, and I think a 10-core processor for maybe even 1,200 is fair, but not a fucking 8-core for 1,000 still. Come on. Seriously. I mean, the performance increase from Broadwell from Haswell to Broadwell really isn't worthwhile, other than the new technologies maybe on the motherboard. That would be the only thing that would be worth upgrading whatsoever. And I mean, a 10 core, you don't really need it at this point as well. Like you were saying, quad cores, can do it. And if at that point, if you really need a 10 core or whatever, then you might as well just go for a Xeon and stick 2 6 cores, and you got 12, and it's probably going to be about the same price as Broadwell's 10 core. It's kind of dumb. It's really actually just dumb.
Yeah, especially considering we're now starting to see the first Xeon Skylake parts.
Yeah.
Which are turning out to be quite interesting. I'm curious to know when we get kind of the more full range in there, but I haven't actually seen many specs for the Broadwell. Do you know the specifications?
They have 4 different SKUs. This is from memory at the moment, but they have 4 different SKUs. They have 2 6 cores, an 8 core, and a 10 core. I think it would have been better if it had 1 6 core, an 8 core, and a 10 core. The 6 core was, the relative budget option. I understand that Skylake's pretty expensive, so maybe make that a little bit more expensive than that. I guess that's why this whole thing is happening with the prices. But that's why I want AMD to swoop in and make Zen quite cheap, and well, even not cheap, but just really fucking powerful. So Intel have to make their processors a hell of a lot cheaper. But they have 2 SKUs, so they're doing the same thing that they did with the Haswell E components, where you have the 2 6 cores, one with less PCIe lanes, one with all PCIe lanes. Then they have the 8 core, which is just basically the same as Haswell E parts. And then they have the 10 core, which is the special one that costs $1 million fucking pounds. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, they're nothing special. They're really nothing special. The only real new technologies on the motherboards would be full Type C support. Like, with Skylake, we got so many new things. Like NVMe and just the PCI SSDs and stuff like that.
My favorite change from Skylake, and this has probably got some bias to it, but virtual machine support back on the mainstream platform.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Like that was so much of a headache. Like, and one of the main reasons why I just avoided previous Intel generations like the plague, like just the mainstream stuff, and would just do like Xeons and stuff, just because it's just, for the type of stuff I do, like I need to be able to create and use virtual machines. It's just so much better to do when the extensions are available, and so really happy to see they're back on the mainstream platform. Although interestingly, they were always on i3s. Not that you could virtualize anything on an i3.
That's odd. I didn't know that. That's because why would you? Why would you want to know that? I mean,
don't know.
I mean, if it's on i3s, then why the fuck didn't they just do it on all of them?
Because they just turned it off. They want you to buy more expensive CPUs.
Thanks, Intel.
Yeah.
Right.
Back to what you asked before about gaming news from PAX. Not very much. Looks like someone's designed a version of the holochess from Star Wars.
Oh, really?
Someone's created that, which looks interesting. It's not an official Star Wars product. It's like more of a fan game thing by the looks of it, but it looks good.
In 2 weeks' time, there'll be an
It'll get
official
shut
product
down,
coming
yeah.
out.
Bye.
There's Outlast 2. There's a new zombie survival game where you play a young girl with
Of course there
a
is.
pet dog as your companion.
Original.
Yeah, more zombie games. Yeah.
Like a cyberpunk top-down shooter, which it says it's a stylish blend of Akira and Hotline Miami.
That sounds bad.
Those things
from what I
don't
could see
sound
from the
like they
footage,
mix.
don't really look like Hotline Miami. Might play like it maybe slightly, and looks more like a top-down, like just futuristic shooter thing. So
One of the kind of unique takes on the kind of Hotline thing, I can't remember if it came out first or not. I'm pretty sure it didn't. One of the games that I really enjoyed, especially because it is a stealth game, which is Monaco. Monaco's a fantastic game. The only problem
Monaco,
is
the thief game thing.
yeah.
I think it came out afterwards, or it might have been around the same time.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I prefer the music and just like the kind of adrenaline rush of Hotline Miami, but I really like the stealth element of Monaco. And just the kind of different abilities that the characters had, and it had quite a wide range of characters and stuff, which had interesting abilities that played well. The only problem with it is as you progress further and further, I mean, it's supposed to be a multiplayer game, but when you progress like to near the end of the game, it's only like it's worse to play with multiple people because at that point it's seriously important not to get noticed whatsoever and just be a complete ghost. So with multiple people, there's more of a chance of getting noticed, and at that point you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
So not the greatest game.
Another game called Lawbreakers looks like a less colourful, less version of what Overwatch.
Yeah, fair enough, but that might also be a misconception. Like people were saying, Battle Watch is a completely different game.
No. I've looked at footage for this. Yeah, it like it's kind of supposed Overwatches, but less colourful. And like more gritty. It's like
Fair enough.
really, it's like I'm trying to think of something else. According to this, like the article I'm looking at, it says it's like Dirty Bomb, I think.
Oh, Dirty Bomb, yeah.
I would say it's like a cross between Dirty Bomb and Overwatch, without the bright colours everywhere.
That's all right. I'm super hyped for Overwatch. Sorry to bring this up again, but we kind of did.
You really are.
Yeah, a little overhyped, but I've only got a couple days to fucking get in and play it, and I cannot wait. I seriously cannot wait. It looks like so much fun. Especially since I've just gotten so bored of CSGO and just the way the community in CSGO is going. Everybody's getting D-ranked. Everybody's just given up and hacking or not playing properly, and just
the rank doesn't even work in it. It's like
it doesn't whatsoever.
I've like been Silver 3 for God knows how long. I mate Ryan, after his placement matches, ended up being Gold Nova 3, I think.
Yeah, I played.
I've won more than I've lost in my competitive match. I've won 62 competitive matches so far. It's like, how have I not gone up from Silver 3 yet? It's like, why?
Well, yeah, I mean, I solo queued a lot of the way, and I played with a couple of people that were Novas, like Gold Nova 3s and 4s, and I got placed MG1 back before the D ranking happened, and I made my way up to MGE, which is a pretty decent rank. And then every single match that I lost after that, I got D-ranked again and again. When I got to about Nova 3, I was getting really worried. I'd never been that low. I'd gotten down to about Nova 4 for a while, and I'd worked my way back up to MG2. And I was MG2 at that time when the D-ranking started happening, and I just kept going down and down. I went all the way down to Silver Elite, and I've just managed to make my way up over the last couple of months back to Nova 3, which is ridiculous. And I've gotten better. I have a bunch of games saved of back in the day when I was playing, and I watched it, and my aim, I was shooting at people's shins, my mouse sensitivity was like 6 times higher, and I was spraying with P90s, and it was just not hitting anything. And I can one-shot a guy all the way from down long with an AK pretty accurately. Like I was using one of my last
you're one
games.
of those assholes now.
Yeah, one of my last games, I was using an MP7 and I was peak shotting an AWPer who was sitting in pit from car, and I just kept peak shotting him, and like after three attempts, I double dinked him, and he fucking died. It was,
Well, this
you
thing,
know,
I P90, just so P90. People hate me for it because I'm good at it.
well, you don't have to be good at it. You just have to know when they're gonna come around the corner and press the fire button.
Oh no, it's not even that. You learn people's movements like from playing enough games, and don't just spray. Like I can like burst fire people down with the P90 quite successfully.
Yeah. But yeah, my whole play style and the reason that I think I like Overwatch is a bit overly aggressive. When we're up a couple games, I'll just rush in. What I'll do is I'll rush to the objective, then walk and hide, and then when I hear footsteps, just fucking bolt at them and catch them by surprise. So people kind of trying to peek long and stuff, they'll be like hesitant, and then they'll run through, and then they'll stop, and they'll wait, and then I'll bolt round the corner with a Nova or something, or usually a submachine gun or whatever, and then fucking destroy them. I take out like 2-3 people, or get completely fucked. But
Oh, that's kind of what I do,
nonetheless,
but I can like do the hearing footsteps better with surround sound because I can tell when people are walking behind me.
yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
beautiful.
you just get used to where the sounds are coming from, even with just stereo after a long enough playtime. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
but mine
really
makes it so much easier because I can just hide like double doors, hide behind the door. I can tell when someone's walking around behind me, like I'm coming through the doors.
yeah, but
Because I can
I'm
time it perfectly that when they come through, I'm not in the corner anymore because someone will always usually look in that corner, and I just slowly walk around and just spray them.
fair enough. Overall, I'm just, I'm tired of the ranking system. It's gotten very stale. The only matches that I really win are the matches where I solo queue and like just really focus and get super salty if we lose. Because, I mean, the ones that I solo queue, especially at the rank I am, I either completely carry the team as a cakewalk, or there's a super smurf on the other team, or just a decent player in general. He completely carries his team, or there's just a fucking hacker. Like, it's ridiculous at
I haven't
lower
had
levels like
problems with
that.
hackers actually. Possibilities that I might have had a couple in games, but unlikely.
Oh, I've seen a lot
Get
of them.
smurfed occasionally, and they're just dicks. But I've
Yes,
shown a
yeah,
couple of them up before.
yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of when it comes up in game, it says an account that you reported has been banned. I've had that 3 times in the last 2 months, which is just it's unacceptable. Um, it's really really bad at the moment, and the people that are still global elite are like, oh, it works perfectly fine. That's because you're global elite still, you know. I mean, I don't play nearly as much as a lot of my friends, but a lot of my friends are lower rank than me, and they're still not getting near where I am. And especially when I'm playing with people that used to be that are the rank that I used to be, previous DMGs and legendary eagles and stuff like that, I end up D-ranking them. But I'm playing at a skill level that I can still like not bottom frag at least. And this is way out of my skill bracket for the people I've been playing with in my rank, and I'm still doing decently. I'm not doing fantastic. I haven't top fragged a game playing with them, but I'm not. I'm usually not the bottom fragger, and if I am the bottom fragger, it's only usually by a couple kills, unless I'm having a especially bad day. But I end up D-ranking them, and I still don't rank up.
Well, I think at my point I should have ranked up when I'm having games where I get 41 kills in a round, which is almost adding the opposing team's top two players together. It's like when I'm at that point, I think I should be going up ranks.
Yeah, it is. It is broken, and just like the pistols, the kind of damage that they do is stupid. I think Jack Frags made a fantastic video a couple days ago about that specific subject. Like, it's getting to the point where CS:GO, they're just not listening to the community, and they're just kind of ruining the game overall, for me at least. I'm getting really bored of it. I kind of burn out of games, to be honest, after about like 600 or so hours. I put like 700 into CS:GO, so I think it's time for a change, and I think Overwatch is that change. I'll give it a good go, and hell, Look, I put 700 hours into CS:GO, and that was free. They gave that to me for free. So if I can put like 300 hours in to Overwatch or something like that, or like even 500. That's what I did with League of Legends, and I did 400 with Team Fortress 2 back in the day. If I can put in any amount to that extent, the amount of skins that I had in League, the amount of skins that I had in Team Fortress 2, and the amount of skins I have in CS:GO, I think it's fully worth it Overwatch if it gives me, even 250 to 300 hours.
Hey, like, just to point out like hours for games played, Fallout 4, I have 330 hours. Technically still not finished playing it.
Oh, absolutely. I put
Metal Gear
what was
Solid
it?
5, 226 hours. I'm
I
planning
only
on doing another playthrough of that at some point.
yeah, you have way too much fucking time on your hands.
So guys, what's your most played game? Like hours?
Oh, let's have a look.
Counter-Strike.
Because I know that I've beaten both you, but
Oh, how many hours do you have in EVE Online?
we're not going to talk about it. Okay,
No.
I just want to know how many
Yes,
you've
we should
got.
talk about this, Jeremy.
No,
Strange enough, mine is
sorry.
also EVE Online at 686 hours, but I didn't play a lot of mine through Steam, so it hasn't registered at least 1,000 hours.
Yeah, I've got mine
Yeah.
at like 4,000 or something.
Yeah.
Like 4,700 hours or something completely daft like that.
Yeah, you've put a few too many hours into EVE Online.
My top rated games are Ark at 379 hours, Total War Shogun 2 at 331 hours, Fallout 4 at 331 hours, Warframe at 232, Metal Gear Solid 5 at 227, and then UFO Afterlight, a game that came out like 13 years ago, I have 157 hours in.
Nice.
Which
It's
CSGO I have
CS
101
yeah,
hours in.
CS:GO at 655, Team Fortress at 300. Although the game for me, I got like a bunch of weird stuff happen with Team Fortress 2. I know I put more hours into that, especially with Portal. It claims I only have 4 hours in the game, yet I have every single achievement. That's a bit
Wow,
odd.
that's impressive for 4 hours.
I know, right? I put at least 20 hours into that game.
There
Actually,
are
no,
ways to load a Steam game up so Steam won't recognize it properly and it won't log hours. That's why a lot of my EVE hours aren't logged on Steam.
yes, and I played them back in like 2011, which they had a lot of problems. I had a terrible internet connection, so I had a lot of problems with that in general. And then War Thunder at about 165, although that's probably more like 200 or so because War Thunder's browser and whatever. So yeah, and then Fallout 4 is a mere 100 hours in the game.
Just a mere 100 hours.
Yeah, some of the games that I have on PC are like lies the amount of times I play them. Because like Fallout 3, I have 3 hours of it on PC. I have about 500 on my PS3.
Oh no, I failed to get the very last achievement, which is get gold in every single thing for like years in Portal. Like I just couldn't do it. It wasn't even one of the last ones. It was one. I think it's one of the ones in the teens or whatever, but like early teens. It was just I just couldn't do it. So I put in about another 8 or so hours. Like it's about a year ago now. It's the 30th of the 10th, 2015. I think it was earlier than that. And I got that achievement finally. So it registers 14 hours played. So I basically put 10 hours in trying to get gold on everything because I had to redo it because it didn't save anything. So I redid everything and got gold on everything in Portal a while ago.
That is. You've got way too much free time.
Hey, I know someone worse. I know sort of mate of mine who's played. What was it? Binding of Isaac for over 1,000 hours.
Really?
Wow.
Yep. And he still plays it. That sad bastard.
I got the game for something like £2, and I put maybe like 4 hours in before I was like, that was worth
Yeah.
£2.
That's pretty much what I was like. I think I've got about 2 hours in mine.
Yeah.
I don't even. Do I even own it? I don't know. I don't think I do.
But
Like
anyway,
Skyrim, I have 93 hours on PC, but on console I have like 400.
Oh, I completed Fallout New Vegas on console, and I also I finished Fallout 3 twice on console, but I gave it to a friend when I got New Vegas because I love New Vegas. I think New Vegas is the superior game.
agreed.
So
Agreed. And
finally,
one of the main reasons for that,
somebody that actually, says it is. That's a
multiple
rare thing.
people.
I've
fact
not
is,
talked to
You've
one.
got to consider Fallout 3 and New Vegas separate kind of entities, because Fallout 3 was made by Bethesda.
Yeah, and it was
New
made by
Vegas was made
Obsidian.
by
Yeah.
Obsidian, which has the original creators from Fallout 1 and 2.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed the humor, the dialogue, and all of New Vegas.
So I enjoyed seeing the humor again because it was goddamn hilarious.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's so good.
I still miss the funny credits that they do on the PC for Fallout 1 and 2. If you held things down Control, when you hit the credits button on the menu,
Mm-hmm.
gave you a separate set of credits, which are like funny shit they did while they were developing the game, or just stuff that happened in their office. And
Yeah.
some of it was downright stupid.
Yeah, I haven't actually played the original Fallouts, which I was gonna. Every day I was like, every day leading up to Fallout 4, I was like, I'm gonna play the originals, and then every day I didn't.
They're a bit hard to play, but they are good. And a lot of the stuff that repeats, stuff like Dogmeat in Fallout 3, he is in both 1
Yes.
and 2.
Yeah.
You find Dogmeat. The tree in Fallout 3, the guy that talks, you meet him in both 1 and 2, and I think in 2 he can be a companion.
And hell, the elder of the Brotherhood in Fallout 4 was in, I think, Fallout 2.
What, Elder Maxim?
Oh no, it was Fallout 3. Yeah, he was a little kid, Elder Maxim.
He's the son of the guy that was in, or he's in 3, I think.
Yeah, but still, I like that. I like those connections between, and they didn't. The thing I didn't like was in Fallout 4 they referenced Fallout 3 so much, but they really didn't reference New Vegas that much. But the times they did, I thought were very clever. Like ones in Fallout 3 were very blatant. The references to Fallout 3 were very blatant, but the ones to New Vegas were more subtle, and I liked that in a way.
It's because like they're vastly far apart, and 3 and 4 they had connections. Like in 3, you had the guy who was from the Institute trying to find one of the androids, one of the original sins, trying to track them. As well as I think there were references to Boston in 1 and 2 as well. Definitely in 2. I can't remember if there were in 1. But there've always been references to Boston in the Fallout series in some sense.
I just realized we came full circle, so I think it might be time to wrap it up soon.
Pretty much.
Basically, start with Fallout, end with Fallout. It's pretty good.
That's what you gotta do, just 20-minute rant about Fallout on either end of the podcast. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. We can probably do that for the next couple episodes, because I'm going to get back into it.
Well, yeah, because every time I can just come back with, they've got these mods now for Fallout 4.
Pretty much. Regular Fallout 4 spotlight.
Right beside Apple bashing.
Right beside Apple bashing. Fantastic.
Yep. Apple bashing and registering which games company has been buried by the
big corporations.
Douchebag corporation that bought them out.
Yeah, pretty much.
So basically, we're going to have a regular obituaries list for games companies.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll always have my little spot of, I think AMD are a nice company, and I don't like Nvidia. Or Intel, for that matter, or most companies, really.
If they're not AMD, you hate them.
Yeah, well, the companies that I like and that I kind of trust are Motorola and AMD, and a lot of like the case manufacturers.
Motorola.
Well, yeah, I mean they make nice cheap phones. They're vanilla Android.
They make cheap phones because nobody buys them.
Well, yeah, you could say the same for AMD.
Yeah. They're at that point where they have to give them away and people still don't want them.
No, I think the new Moto G 2016 variant is a fucking fantastic phone. They fixed all of the problems of my generation, which is the 2015 version. They seriously did a fantastic job on the new Moto G.
Sorry, every time you say Motorola, the only thing I can think of is that really old Razor flip phone thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought when he said Motorola. I thought,
Yeah.
Razor flip phone. For the pure fact, my mum still has her old Motorola Razor.
No way.
Wow.
Just in case she needs another phone if one breaks, out of the dozen she keeps. Like, she has a Nokia 3310i, she has, I think, did she still have the old Vodafone house from like 20
3310i.
years ago? She has almost every phone she's ever had still.
But yeah, no, the Moto G is a nice cheap phone. It's got, nowadays, the new version has a fantastic processor. It's super fast. It's vanilla Android, which is kind of annoying at points. Like, whenever I plug my fucking phone in, with the previous version of Android, I could plug my phone in and just transfer files. With this version, I have to unlock it, then go into a sub-menu, then click on transfer files, and then go to my computer, go into it, and transfer the files. That is a royal pain in the ass. But, you know, oh well. It's good enough.
And with that, we shall end.
Woo!
Fair enough.
You guys want to say anything to
Fireworks.
close?
No.
No.
Every tech company, game company in the world is just waiting to dick you over eventually.
No,
Roger that.
that's just you.
Yeah.
It's like, see that Lucas guy coming. Better get something going, you know?
Yep. They just want to ruin my childhood. The amount of
That's it.
games I can't play these days, it's like, you ruined my childhood, you
It's like,
bastards.
it's like what other games is like. Let's do a really horrible remake.
Well, Ratchet and
Oh,
Clank.
Christ.
Ratchet and Clank's good. I like that.
The
New
more I
Ratchet and
hear
Clank
about
game.
the new Final Fantasy VII remake, the less I want them to do it.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that is pretty bad. But that's Square Enix in general, so.
Yeah, it's like, why are you doing this to everyone?
So we're gonna end this or what?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're done here.
End it already. Take an axe to it.
Take an X to it.
Hashtag take an axe to it.
Hashtag take an X. Any X.
Never again.
I think that's meant in a different context. We should just put like an axe gif at the end. That's what we should do.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I guess we'll try again next week.
Yep.
You mean again?
Yeah, again.
And hopefully this time
again.
there aren't any audio problems with the recording.
Yeah.
Hey, look, this is episode 1, Lucas. Nobody knows what you're talking about. This is episode 1. There were no technical issues last week ever.
Technical difficulties do not exist.
Episode 1B. Hashtag Linus joke. Anyway.
Hashtag end it.